It all began in 1835 when a young Scottish boy was born to a poor family. His family shared a one-room house with another family that they also used to work by weaving cloth. Times got better, but then they got really tough. Tough to the point that the boy's family moved from Scotland to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in order to find better opportunity in 1848. The boy got to work right away. At the age of 13, he spent 12 hours per day in a cotton mill changing spools. After a 60-hour workweek was finished, the boy would return home with a whopping $1.20 to show for it. 2 years later, while working as a telegraph messenger, he caught his first major break. He met a man by the name of Colonel James Anderson, who allowed the young boy to read from his personal library of 400 books every Saturday night, thus beginning a life of learning and personal development. He eventually began working for the Pennsylvania Railroad Company, where his boss and mentor taught him how to invest his money and how to run a business. In 10 years' time, he turned a $500 initial investment into enough money to buy a steel mill in Pittsburgh. Yes, this boy was none other than the steel tycoon and former richest man in the world, Andrew Carnegie. With true rags to riches, Carnegie believed so strongly about the power of education and the importance of personal development that after he retired from business, he donated what is equivalent today as over $200 billion to charities, opening up over 3,000 public libraries, universities, colleges, centers of education, scientific research, as well as many other philanthropic ventures. During this time of philanthropy, in 1908, he was interviewed by a young reporter by the name of Napoleon Hill. During the interview, Carnegie challenged Hill to interview successful people and come up with a formula for success. Hill took the challenge and then embarked on a 20-year journey to discover the formula for success. And here we are today, over 100 years later, talking about his findings. After my third time reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, I've compressed the book into 4 key concepts. Number 1, programming your subconscious mind. You cannot entirely control your subconscious mind, but you can voluntarily hand over to it any plan, desire, or purpose which you wish transformed into concrete form. Napoleon Hill. This is the foundation of the book. We go through most of our life on autopilot. Research has shown that when broken down into bits of information similar to a computer, what we perceive as our conscious thought is 0.00005% of what our brain actually takes in. This leaves well over 99% of information received being filtered through our subconscious. This is so our brains can focus on things that matter to us right now and disregard things that don't or that we can put off due to the fact that conscious thought requires exponentially more energy than subconscious thought. Yes, you've been breathing the entire time. And yes, your shirt is still on, for most of us, even though you weren't thinking about it at all until I just brought it up. The premise behind this is that by programming your subconscious, you'll better seek out what Napoleon Hill describes as riches. Now, riches can mean money, but it can also mean relationships, opportunities, health, excitement, basically whatever you want to have more of in your life. Hill believes strongly in the power of autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is writing down your goals and or stating them aloud regularly. He recommends every morning when you wake up and evening before you go to bed. When writing down your goals, you integrate a deeper level of learning than keeping a thought in your mind alone. Once your goals are on paper and are in the physical world, your subconscious mind will put greater importance on them. By stating them aloud, they become more deeply ingrained and opportunities will present themselves which would have been previously unnoticed. Since your subconscious mind is now programmed to seek relevant information to your goals, you will now recognize and bring to consciousness anything that your brain now deems as relevant or important. Opportunity could have passed you by thousands of times, but if you subconsciously didn't value it as important to you, you may have never even realized it. Number 2, definiteness of purpose. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Thoughts are things, and powerful things at that. When mixed with definiteness of purpose and burning desire, they can be translated into riches. Napoleon Hill. This key point is very closely related to number 1. The fact of the matter is, The power of auto-suggestion will not work the way you want it to if you are vague in your goal setting. You can't just say, "I wish I was rich," every day and then one day you'll miraculously be rich. It just doesn't work that way. You need to be as specific as possible so you know exactly what to look for. Without definiteness of purpose, you will easily lose focus and become led off course. For example, many of us say, "I wish I had more money." Well, there's nothing here that will help your subconscious distinguish between a major networking opportunity and that dime on the ground in the parking lot that you almost stepped on. You must exhibit definiteness of purpose and establish deadlines in order to reach prompt decisions. Without doing so, you will either be lost and saturated with useless information, or you will be unable to act on the information that is useful towards achieving your goals. Number 3. The mastermind principle. 2 or more people actively engaged in the pursuit of a definite purpose with a positive mental attitude constitute an unbeatable force. Napoleon Hill. When tackling a complex task, it is important to understand that by yourself, you only offer one perspective towards achieving a solution. With multiple minds working on the same task, now you have the advantage of looking at the same problem through multiple perspectives. You will now be able to branch off of each other, and as a result, you'll be able to raise your level of consciousness. You will be able to share new information to the group that will improve all members, as well as receive information in return. The mastermind principle decreases levels of cognitive bias due to the fact that you will have alternative forms of input towards your ideas. With multiple minds thinking together, your collective IQ will be dramatically increased when compared to just you alone. The 4th and final point is a positive mindset / persistence. Persistence is to the character of a man as carbon is to steel. Napoleon Hill. Anybody can achieve what they define as being rich, but not everybody will. That's just the truth. Even when presented with all the information necessary for success, many people will never reap the benefits. This all boils down to your mental fortitude and whether or not you can find compelling reasons to persist even during times of failure. No, I'm not saying that negative thinking doesn't have its place. It certainly does. With the ability to identify worst-case scenarios, you'll be able to assess the risk/reward of a given situation and base your decisions accordingly. You must be able to see both sides of the coin. Our mind tends to wander and over-dramatize negative scenarios. For some of us, we think that, let's say, if we speak up in class, then we might be wrong. Then people will think that we're stupid. Then your friends will never talk to you again. Then your teacher will fail you. Then you have to drop out of school. Then you'll never get a job. Then you eventually go homeless and die. Yes, homeless and die from speaking up in class. Once we think things through a little bit more, and we actually think about the worst case scenario, logically, and what is most probable, we speak up in class, we may or may not be wrong, the teacher corrects us and in his or her head appreciates your participation. A couple of rude classmates may laugh or chuckle to themselves, but inside most likely they had the same exact question and secretly respect your courage. Then, the class continues, and you just learned something. So once you actually assess this situation through a negative lens, you realize that there's practically no risk. At the end of the day, your mindset is your fuel supply. If you don't believe that you're going to be successful at something, then either you will never try, or you'll give up once you meet resistance. This is really the true power of having a positive mindset. When a negative person hits a bump in the road, they will see it as the end of the road. When a positive person hits that same bump in the road, they will see it as an inevitable obstacle and will be much more likely to persist until they reach their intended destination. So, always remember, you guys, every adversity, every failure, and every heartache carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. Napoleon Hill. So thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. So write in the comments, which one of these 4 key points do you currently use the most in your life? And which one do you need to start using more in your life? Subscribe and like the video if you haven't already, and stay tuned for the next video.